The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba is my name, and me here in the studio are our in-house analyst, Silas Ezebu, and Chibuzo Okaide. Well, the big issue for the day is the Electoral Act Bill. The National Assembly and powers to override the president's veto. Well, the National Assembly lawmakers yesterday came out threatening that if the president refuses to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, they are going to override and veto the president for not signing the bill. And of course, there are some civil society organizations that have actually come out to insisting that the president must sign that bill. And of course, this is coming against the background of the pressure mounted on the president by some influential Nigerians not to sign the bill because they don't want electronic voting, transmission of results, and direct primaries to be conducted by political parties. These are very true contentious provisions in the bill. But most Nigerians see it. The electronic transmission of results and the direct primaries will improve the country's democracy if they become part of the electoral law. Well, the National Assembly, the lawmakers yesterday insisted that the president must sign the bill. This is just 16 days to the timeline for that bill to be signed. Well, let's start with Chibuzo. You can imagine 16 days to go. The president is still keeping that bill. What would be keeping the president from signing that bill?
I think that's a question only the president will be able to answer. But as it stands, of course, the pressure is on him now to act on the bill, whether he does or he doesn't. There's a pressure for him to do something about it. If he's not going to sign it, fine. If he's going to sign it, fine. But there's a pressure on him to make a move. Whatever move he takes, will be one that will either put him on the side of democratic pantheon of our democratic experience, favorably, or put him, the other way. But it is his decision to make. Of course, it's expected that there will be a lot of pressure from the onset. This whole electoral amendment process has been controversial. First, it started with the electronic voting, and now it has come down to the direct primary thing. So, from my perspective, I think this whole drama, that this whole episode we are seeing, perhaps might just be how do I put it now? A scheme that might end up not being signed with the way pressure is going. Because I don't think if the president wanted to spend to this, not to take this long. That is my own personal opinion. I don't think it has to take this long. And like Wiki pointed out, why would you send a document like that back to INEC? What are you going to hear from INEC? What are you going to hear from INEC? It's all of the deliberations that have to go into this whole document. I think it has been done. And over time, civil society has said it's a good bill. Of course, those who are against it have said their own piece. The governors are kicking against it. And the sad part is that it is not just about the direct primary thing now. It is the risk that the baby might be thrown away
With the bad
with
water.
bathwater. That is the concern at this point. This was how we got to when the top 10 issue came up, and it killed that very process. It provided some very critical provisions in our constitution that would have helped our democratic process, fast track our democratic process. But because of that one clause, all of that process was halted, and we are now having to pick ourselves up again. So it is sad, but I am yet to be convinced that this bill by design. I seriously need a lot of convincing. Going by the needless drama that has
So silence, I think the president is still holding on to that deal. From what we are hearing now,
and to be unfortunate,
INEC needs to make input. The Attorney General of the Federation, the police, but that is a bill that has already been passed by the National Assembly. I think the inputs of all these institutions and persons they are talking about, the ADF, the police, INEC, are supposed to come before the bill is being passed by the National Assembly. And these institutions go make input in a bill that has already been passed by the legislature.
Yes. Well, has said a lot of things. It now had this is said. What I'm looking at is that the president is looking for validation why you're not signed, and they want to get it from any of these other sources, NF, IGP, Attorney General. Unfortunately, we know the kind of fund that the general will have this time around. Okay, even though on TV we say that he's always doing things on the side of populace, but you and I know that a lot of Nigerians, film objective and Nigerians, do not see his activities in that way. They are involved in too many things, and someone who's supposed to be the minister of justice should not be treated like that. That's why on this matter, I think the president has concerns about signing it because of the kind of pressure coming from high and mighty in the country. And these high and mighty in the country are those who have benefited from the secured electoral process, who have held the Nigerian democracy, by the neck, by the jugular, and squeezing it to death, just to advance their own personal, whims and caprices. Okay, so and those guys are powerful. The governors hold the aces in Nigeria that are emperors. And it's the governor that say no, because if you look at it, the direct primaries has the possibility of reducing their stranglehold on party democracy and both intra-party and inter-party democracy. Because it is who the party puts on the ballot stand that people vote for. If they bring, if the two parties conspire and bring two idiots, the rest of us will just be, caught between the devil and the devil's sea,
Choosing between the two idiots.
we don't have independent candidates for now.
Then we'll find ourselves beginning to choose. We'll not know who will be the lesser idiot.
So what has aided our democracy, and it's a serious thing,
of course,
this long, is that there's no democracy within the parties. It's I won't call it laws, political laws of the manner that and then just like what happens with our tax system. When you pay tax, you are more minded to ask for how the money will choose. And because most of you do not pay tax really directly, nobody asks about accountability in governance. If you belong to any association in your village and you are paying your dues, you'll be careful, you'll be interested to know how the money is spent and who those who are spending it to account for it. So, because the parties, the members of the party and the country are not paying dues, are not registering with money, they don't have personal stake in it. Those who control the state funds, governors and so use money and control everybody, supply money for the party, pay all the dues, and decide who gets what, and put their own people there. So these are the people who are asking that the bill should not be signed. But the rest of Nigerians, if you take unfortunately, we don't have a position of referendum and constitution, and that's the one thing. If Nigeria, for Nigeria to go far, we need to have that referendum, so that if an issue becomes so contentious, and we do not trust that the few people who are in the National Assembly there are going to be dispassionate, objective about it, they will not throw it to the public to what? Let's have the view of Nigerians. If we have that referendum on most things, most of the things that come like this, Nigeria and most Nigerians will vary with the senators, House of Rep, and all the Democrats. But we don't have that now. So for now, it's this pressure we are giving from the media, from the civil society, that can get to the president and say, look, this is what Nigerians want. And President said if they make that bill appeal to him, he will sign. Based on one of his statements, don't issue of electronic voting, regime. He said if they bring the bill to him, he will sign. Now, like you said, they have now surreptitiously added the direct primary. And that is even though it's a good idea, but it's a kind of self-survival tactics by lawmakers. Remember, many of them were former governors. And if you look at what happened in Yobe State, where a former governor who went to the Senate was unseated by a governor who was leaving the office. Talking about this, what is it for Yobe State there now? No, that was Yobe.
Yes,
That was
it happened in
Yobe.
Is it?
They removed that long-time senator.
Yes.
What
I remember his name. I remember his name.
Uh-huh.
He also had his wife was also in the house.
In the House of Rep.
I
Another Prime Minister.
remember.
I don't know his name. Is
Abba.
Bukaba Ibrahim.
This former governor
Mm.
now removed him. He was the senator. He was the governor. I think 3-time governor. So he was there in the other republic. Then 2 terms now. They went to the Senate and became a virtual landlord there. Until this upstart governor came, because he could control the party at that level. Ordinarily, if you put them on the scale, you know that the former governor, the other one, had a way bigger, because the party, all politics is local. And this governor was just leaving office. He just controlled the party structure and removed his predecessor. And that's how it happened. So they who have been doing this kind of control and I'm trying to make sure that those who are coming after them will not see them from that place. So it's self-serving, but it's also good for the democracy, so that you have a more level playing field for everybody.
Yes.
So now I've added that one now. That is what, otherwise the electronic voting and transmission, the battle has been won already by the lawmakers and then the Nigerian public.
Yes.
So this one is a new thing now. And I don't know whether you are saying that it all has been displayed before coming to this level. Those ones were not on the bill that time. Otherwise, maybe the input of the IGP, the INEC, and then Attorney General would have been stopped. But now he's taking it. What I'm thinking, I may be wrong, is that if he's going to ask for further amendment of that bill before he signs, he will now base it on whatever he gets from this one. If they say, go ahead, you answer. But if they say that it might not okay, like it has signed, okay, adjust so and so places if I can sign.
Well, thank you, Silas. You see, it goes on before we go for break quickly. What Silas said is very valid point, because we have 3 interests there. We have the governors, we have the lawmakers, and then we have Nigerians. Nigerians have aligned themselves with direct primaries as being sought for by the lawmakers. And then there are the governors, they are strongly against it, because at the end of the day, they know that the lawmakers are just setting a trap to whittle their powers when it comes to deciding who holds what from the state. And that's why most Nigerians are saying that the president could be under pressure from the governors not to sign this bill. We call that KB State Governor, after a meeting with the president in NASS, was it 2 weeks ago or so? I think he's the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. He came outside from that meeting and said adopting direct primaries by political parties will overstretch INEC. So it was clear that the issue of direct primaries was discussed at the meeting between the president and the governors. That there's this feelings. Most Nigerians feel that the president will be playing the cards of the governors. That is why he's finding it very hard. Because it was after that meeting that the president tended to dilly-dallying over this matter. What do you think?
Yes, there are a number of things to unpack in your question. First is the notion that whichever way, if the direct primary thing sails through, it's going to be an end to the process. But I don't think you think so if you look at the recent history. Even though the APC used the direct primary system, they experimented with it rather in 2019, and we saw what played out there. The governor still had total control of it. So this whole notion about the lawmakers believing that okay, with the direct primaries thing, they would have, it's almost not so realistic. If what we saw, even as recent as Anambra is anything to do with that. So it is not insulated from manipulation.
It's not.
And by
But they
manipulation,
feel they have a fighting
and by
chance.
manipulation, of course, they'll have the fighting chance. They also have the fighting chance with the indirect primaries.
With the governors in charge.
The governor.
The governors
The
are
governors
also
who want to go to
still in
the
charge.
Senate.
want to go to the
They
Senate.
say they want to want the government want to go
The
and die
governors
themselves.
will also still be in charge because at the end
They'll
of
be
the
in charge, but
day, it is about who controls the levers of power.
Yes.
I can tell you now that the governors would have gone back to the
they'll go and withdraw,
and to re-strategize.
Yes, but
Who controls
the
party?
fact that they are screaming now, it shows that something has happened.
So obviously,
Uh-huh.
even when the direct primaries thing, it's just that the indirect primaries was something they came to inherit with. So we might not necessarily see the screens about the indirect primaries process, but because there's a shift now and might require them readjusting, perhaps that's what we are saying. Because if you take them off what they normally do, but I can tell you that as it is, even with the direct primaries arrangement, I am yet to see how the lawmakers will be able to muscle it out from governors who still control the party structure in the state.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo. I think let's just quickly take a short break. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the big issue in leadership podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. National Assembly and powers to override the president's veto. Well, to show you how desperate the lawmakers are to ensure that that bill is signed with the direct primary provision inclusive. Yesterday, most of the lawmakers, the federal lawmakers, said that they, senators, met and resolved that if the president declines to sign the bill, they will overrule him. Silas Khan, the lawmakers override the president's veto. First of all, let's start constitutional.
Yes, they can do that. They have the powers to do that.
on issues pertaining to signing of bills.
Yes,
So the
yes.
president thinks that
If you
just-
refuse this, just like you know, we had a precedent already, the NDC Act. Most of them didn't want to sign up on it, but the election assembly at the time overruled them, and that's why the NDC came to be. Unfortunately, so they had come a train pipe, a such fund for political parties to play with it. But it was a good idea to develop the data. You know, looking at what happened, the militancy for this one. If those delegates had to work, we should work. You know, a lot of things needed to fix. But that was the idea they had. And when the president didn't to understand, to agree with them, they overruled it. And it became a law. And that this was formed. And the government at the time was forced to fund it. But it became a law. So they have the power to do that. But whether they can do it now,
it's another thing.
because the not just body language, the stated objectives of this National Assembly that they want to work with the
president.
In fact, they said they don't mind being called what is that again? They don't mind being called Robasan. They say they feel that working with the president, if there's less friction, there's more chance of having the person.
Yes, I agree with you.
That's what the Senate president said.
Yes.
You know, whether it is true or not, I'm sure that most Nigerians don't agree with it.
Yes.
Because the job of the National Assembly is also to play the check and balance. Where you have separation of powers, is to have this kind of
separation of powers, and
so that everybody will up and do it.
Yes.
So when you sleep on your own and the executive has very big powers in Nigeria, and that kind of power need to check because
the power
power
of the president is too strong. The constitution empowers the president.
So if National Assembly is not,
enormous
look
power.
at this, look at the state legislators. They're just non-existent. They couldn't even vote for their own independence.
Those ones are lackeys of the government.
Because governors select those who go there,
Lackeys
use
of
their
the government.
talks and their prudence to put there. And you cannot say no to the governor. That's why the governors have unlimited power and can do and undo. And that's why those states are not working. Because nobody is checking the governors what they're doing. So if the National Assembly used to be the only one that stood and tried to be independent, the last National Assembly, that one became a part, it became like another position.
Yeah.
If it was National Assembly, we won't be talking whether they can do it. If they are resolved that this is what they want, and the president doesn't sign the overlook. But this National Assembly, like Krike said, do they have the lever to do that?
Well,
The leadership of the National Assembly don't have that lever. They're not even interested in doing anything that the president does not sign up to.
yes.
But because their own political survival, that's what can play into this one. Whether their own political survival is going to play a role in what they decide, and two, knowing that the president is really going after his contempt, they're not looking for any favors from the president in the next presidential election. That may push some of them to say, okay, fine, we need this thing because the president is not going to the Senate, he's going home after the time. But they need to continue to play in the system. And if they feel that this law can help them to play in the system, they might.
Well,
governors are on their way out.
Yes, but you see, what Silas has just said is exactly what River State Governor said yesterday. Wike said dismiss the threat of the lawmakers with a wave of hand, saying the current National Assembly lacked the courage. You see the word he used, courage, to overrule the president if he refuses to assent to the Electoral Act. See, the governor sounded exactly like saying that the Ninth Assembly is a lackey of the president, and putting Wike's observation in the right perspective. Do you see the National Assembly having a congress of opinion to overrule the president's veto? Because I think the people saying these were individual lawmakers, especially, and most of those are from the minority couples. Do you see where the National Assembly will come as one? So yeah, we overrule. Could that be possible?
It would be interesting to see. Honestly, it would be interesting to see. And it would have perhaps helped our democratic process. Serve as another precedent. to issues like this. Because, well, and I do agree, it's a struggle for personal interest. But like some school of thought, like the only time the electorate or the masses can get some breather is when there's a clash within the political elite. When there's what can call it clash. Because the more they clash, the more their interests pull them apart. They'll be forced to do things differently, and then there might be a struggle for ensuring that they do things in the way that will put the people on their side. But that is a school of thought. It's not always that way. Because we've also seen where they just fight purely for selfish interest, with little or no regard for the electorate for the people. So, but in this case, it would be really good to see that happen. It is tough. I like Mr. Silas. It's almost questionable that they will be able to push it, because the last couple of years since they took over, the Lawan leadership has been just there. All of the loans that they will just pass it.
The speed at which they will
That's why
always approve the president's
You know,
loan.
it's funny. And even their oversight functions, they've not been doing any of that. In fact, they've not stated anything contrary to what the presidency has been doing.
Executive
I've
arm of
not seen
government.
any. Clearly, the only time they tried to do that was when he was making a fuss about military chiefs not coming and all of that.
Mhm.
But as for to be direct at the presidency, I've barely seen that. So it shows you that this whole thing is just going to go the way of previous ones. Unfortunately, it will now put the National Assembly or the lawmakers in a perhaps there's a bad light now, a badder light, if there's such an expression, because having put out this kind of fight and you can't follow through with it, history will always remember them as this set of people who started the process and they became
not
and
finish
they
it.
couldn't finish it. Not necessarily because they shouldn't have been able to finish it, but because they just lack courage and capacity to do anything reasonable about it. And I think that is even worse for them. It would have been better they didn't start this, and for them to start now. And this is what their legacy.
In other words, they are putting themselves on the spot.
Because as it is now, the electors are going to come for them. If they don't fight this through, the civil society is going to come for them. The governors are going to come for them. And if they try to go against the president, of course, so it puts them in a very tight spot. From all angles, a very tight spot. So I wonder how they're going to try to wriggle out of this. Don't forget, a couple of them are already in bad light because of the position they took on the e-voting thing and how they had to do a 360 turn. I wanted to claim and people told them, my friend, don't try and claim any glory for this. So it's amazing that they couldn't foresee what the possibilities are, and it will be shocking that they have still not seen that if they don't follow the implication of not following through with this. So it will be, like I said earlier, interesting to see whether or not they can fight through with this.
Well, the die is cast, and of course, the lawmakers have come out to threaten to override the president's veto if he refuses to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill into law. And of course, it is an unfolding event, 16 days to the expiration of the timeline. President Buhari is expected to sign that bill. And of course, on the other hand, the lawmakers are there. The Nigerians too are there watching to see whether the federal lawmakers will proceed with their threats. Anyhow it goes, time will tell. And we Nigerians are watching as a spectator. We're holding our breath, hoping to see the outcome of all this. That is the much we can take for the big issue of the day. Thank you for keeping tab with us out there. And of course, our in-house analysts for doing a very good job here in addressing the big issue of the day. Join us same time on Monday for another edition of The Big Issue. Just you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.